Okay, today we are diving into one of the most ruthless, influential, and, let's be honest, brutally honest guides to power ever written, Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince. And you're going to want to forget everything you think you know, because this isn't just a book, it's a playbook for survival.
So let's ask the big question. What does it actually take to grab power and hold on to it? Well, Machiavelli's answer was so radical that it has been shocking and fascinating leaders for over 500 years. He basically said, hey, forget your ideals and morality for a minute, because I'm about to tell you the real unvarnished truth.
You know, to really get this book, you have to get the man who wrote it. This was written way back in 1513, right after Machiavelli had been totally kicked out of politics in Florence. He had seen power up close, he'd lost it, and he was writing from a place of cold, hard experience. This is a practical field guide, not some lofty philosophical dream.
So, the big problem Machiavelli tries to solve is this. Getting power is one thing, but actually keeping it? That's a whole other ballgame. And he starts by explaining that, hey, not all states, and definitely not all forms of power, are created equal. Here's the core difference, he points out. If you inherit a kingdom, things are actually pretty simple. People are used to your family, it's business as usual. But if you go out and conquer a new state, oh, that's where the real trouble begins. People are going to resist you, and the very ground beneath your feet is fundamentally unstable. And it's that instability that this entire playbook is designed to fix.
So, how do you secure that shaky ground? Well, for Machiavelli, the absolute first step, the foundation of everything, is building a proper army. And believe me, he is very specific about what that means.
His main message here is so simple. You cannot buy loyalty, period. Mercenaries, they're just fighting for a paycheck. They'll ditch you in a heartbeat. And auxiliary troops, armies you borrow from an ally, they're even worse. It's like inviting a Trojan horse into your own camp. For Machiavelli, the only real path to security is an army of your own citizens, people who are loyal to you. Self-reliance is literally everything.
Okay, so you have a loyal army. The next question is, how did you even get into power to begin with? Machiavelli boils this all down to a constant, epic battle between two powerful forces.
First up, there's what he calls virtù. Now, whatever you do, don't confuse this with the English word virtue. This isn't about being a good person. Virtù is about being good at what you do. It's your skill, your competence, your strength, your cunning. It's your ability to take decisive action and bend fate to your will.
And the force that's always battling against your virtù? That's fortuna. Think of it as luck, fate, chance, all the chaotic stuff happening in the world that is completely outside of your control. Machiavelli says fortuna is like a raging river, and a prince's job is to use his virtù to build dams and canals to try and control it.
And the difference between the two is just massive. Gaining power through your own skill, your virtù, that's tough work, but the rule it creates is stable. It's yours. On the other hand, gaining power through sheer luck, that's easy. But it's just as easily taken away because it was never really yours to begin with. It depends completely on someone else's good fortune.
All right, now we get to the juicy stuff. This is the part of The Prince that everybody talks about, the controversial, cold-blooded advice on how a ruler actually has to behave to stay on top.
And here it is, the timeless question. Is it better to be loved or feared? For Machiavelli, the answer is just pure pragmatism. Love, it's fickle. People will love you when times are good and turn on you when they're not. But fear is a bond that you control. It's reliable. But, and this is the crucial part, a prince must never be hated. Fear keeps people in line, hatred makes them want to rebel.
Now this one feels a little backward, right? But just follow the logic here. A generous prince is going to empty his treasury super fast. And to keep being generous, what's he going to have to do? Raise taxes. And that's going to make his people hate him. A prince who's known for being a little stingy, though, manages the state's money well, and in the long run, that stability is better for everybody.
So what about cruelty versus mercy? Well, Machiavelli argues that a ruler who is too merciful might actually let disorder spread, which leads to riots and murder and hurts everyone. A little, well-used cruelty, like a quick, decisive punishment to make an example of someone, can stamp out that disorder and, weirdly enough, end up being more merciful to the population as a whole. It's a tool for stability, not just for being mean.
So all of this leads to that infamous phrase that everyone thinks he said, the ends justify the means. The only problem with that? He never actually wrote it. Nope,
What he actually said was way more specific and frankly more strategic. The core idea is that the survival and stability of the state is the most important thing. So if a ruler has to lie, or break a treaty, or deceive an enemy to protect his people and his power, then those actions aren't just allowed, they are absolutely necessary.
And this leads to one of his most cunning points. A prince doesn't actually have to be merciful, or faithful, or religious, but he must absolutely seem to be. Public perception is a weapon. People judge by what they see, so a ruler has to master the art of looking virtuous, no matter what calculations are happening behind the scenes.
So after all this pretty ruthless advice, what's the ultimate takeaway? What is the Machiavellian playbook?
Well, it really all boils down to this. Politics is about what is, not what we wish it would be. The stability of the state comes first, even before traditional morality. That means a leader needs to be feared, has to be adaptable, and absolutely has to be self-reliant. They've got to use public perception as a critical tool. Because in the end, true strength comes from using your own skill, your virtue, to tame the chaos of fortune.
And you know, it's so important to remember why he wrote all this in the first place. The book actually ends with this really passionate plea. Machiavelli wanted to see a strong Italian leader rise up, use these very methods to unite all the fractured states of Italy, and finally kick out the foreign armies that were tearing his country apart. This ruthless guide actually had a patriotic heart.
Which, of course, brings us right back to that central question, one that is just as relevant today as it was 500 years ago. When you look at the world around us, what do you think? Is it still better for a leader to be feared or to be loved? The debate Machiavelli started is definitely far from over.